Nikki here. I'm here to do my movie review for Howl's Moving Castle to go with the book reviews I did last week. As I mentioned there, I did watch this movie before reading the book, so I have to admit I have quite a bit of fondness for it, just for how my introduction to the story went because of it. It is a very wholesome slice of life, like frame of reference for a really grand adventure, which is super awesome. I cannot tell you how sweet this movie is and how much I enjoy watching it without going into spoilers, so this will be kind of a spoiler-ish review. Not so much if you've read the book or seen the movie before, but here we are. And much to my great enjoyment, I got to watch this twice. The first time I watched it after reading the book, I got very high, and it was a great experience, but the review I intended to make did not come into fruition. So, on another more sober night, one where I had to go to work the next day so I couldn't get high at all, I definitely watched the movie again, which I'm not upset about. Like I said, I really enjoy it, but I thought I'd just share that experience with you guys. So I'm gonna go into my likes and dislikes here. Starting with my likes, my first one just is that tone. It's so charming and wholesome. The entire adventure is just so grand in scale, but you follow such a grounded character that is just a lot of fun and very appealing and very gentle, and it's just such an enjoyable experience. My second like is the animation. I don't know quite how to explain this. I'm not a big animation, I want to say an animation nerd, because I don't know a lot about the process. I could get my husband to explain some of it. He's done some animation in the past. But there's something about the animation here that is just very appealing. The art style is very appealing. The characters are very smooth, very natural. Their walk cycles are very easy to watch. Sometimes they get so bad. And it's just the whole aesthetic of this movie just really hit a home run for me. And then my third like is the pacing and flow of the story. As with almost every Studio Ghibli movie I've watched, it's about an hour and a half, and they do such a good job of moving the story forward really effectively in that time frame. The movie flies by because of it. The pacing is so consistent and so well designed for a children's animation movie that will appeal to a broad audience. You never really have a point that drags. You never really have a point that's going too rushed, which is awesome. It's just such a great experience, just in terms of how the story progresses because of the pacing. Now, I'm going to move into my dislikes. I actually couldn't come up with that many dislikes here. I am very fond of this movie. Easily hands down one of my favorite animated movies of all time. And so my negatives are pretty basic, and they are more on the book to movie adaptation. First being that I really missed kind of the sister side stories. I really liked in the book how you got a good sense of family, and you got a good sense of Sophie's sisters and kind of how their situation is unfolding, and just how much they love each other and how much that comes through in everything they do. And that was such a sweet and charming aspect of the story that I would have loved to see it on the silver screen too. And although they do hint at it, the intricacies of it just are lost. And I know that's a silver screen thing. They have to cut where they cut, and they cut the stuff from the main story, but I'm still upset about it. And my second negative is that we miss all of the adventures in Wales. In the book, you literally go to Wales in Great Britain, and you have an adventure there, and just Sophie's reactions to everything, and just the situation in general is so bizarre. It adds a lot of humor to the story, which I really appreciated, and I think that actually would have translated over really well to the silver screen, so I'm actually quite sad that it wasn't included. I'm sure there's a good reason it was cut, but I think it would have added a little bit of comedic relief to this very wholesome slice of life, calm movie. And that's really all I have for dislikes. Like, the movie unto itself, I really thought about this and I couldn't come up with anything else that didn't really suit me with it. So I'm just gonna go on to character. They, as with everything else in the movie, are very charming and wholesome and gentle, and I cannot get behind Sophie as a main character enough. She's fun, she's sassy, she's gentle and loving and kind. It's just, oh, she is one of my favorite characters ever, including Sophie in the book. But Sophie in the movie had a little extra pizzazz that just nestles into a corner of my heart. And I have to be honest here, while I enjoyed the Witch of the Waste in the book, she was very conniving and very interesting to hear about, I actually really enjoyed the Witch of the Waste. Here, I thought she presented really well on screen and did a really good job of helping move the story forward and forcing a little bit of character development without taking away from the story too much. And then, honestly, the voice actors here were phenomenal. I listened to the English version, so if you want to know the voice actors, look up the English version. I think Calcifer is played by Billy Crystal. If I remember correctly, I think it's Josh Hutcherson who voices Michael. I don't remember who voices anybody else. I didn't bother looking it up. But they all do a phenomenal job, so if you're interested in seeing, I'd look it up on like IMDb or something. The internet has the answers for you. But they did all do a really good job. Even though some of the dialogue was a little bit cringy, it was all delivered really well, and it was delivered in such a way that the cringiness of the dialogue didn't take away from the story overall. And that's all I'm really going to say about the movie here. I'm going to go into my wrap-up, and I'm sure you guys are going to be a little shocked because I actually preferred this movie over the book. That doesn't happen very often for me. And I think a lot of it actually has to do with me being a little biased towards the movie versus the book, having watched the movie first. For me, this movie is a 5 out of 5 stars. It is just sweet and gentle and wholesome. It's a wonderful, feel-good movie with a little bit of magic, a little bit of a alternate universe, and it's just takes you for a ride that doesn't have a lot of downs. You have a top-notch story, you have a top-notch character, you have top-notch pacing, you have a great soundtrack. Studio Ghibli just knocked this out of the park. That's all I can say. And even as a book-to-movie adaptation, I have seen way worse. Here, the overall tone and story stayed identical. There are a few mixing and mashing of characters, but it's done in such a way that you still get the general idea of the story, and it's really not that different in the book. And though there are a few side stories, like I mentioned in my dislikes, that I wish had been in the movie, I think overall they did a really good job at just keeping the general feel and tone and characters very, very similar otherwise. And it still did all of the right things. The pacing was still amazing. You still had that really sweet found family vibe, and you still had characters that were just very gentle and wholesome and easy to follow and root for. And to be quite frank, the movie did a lot better job of convincing me of the romance in the story. The book left me feeling a little confused, but even though at the end of the movie other things are tied up very, very conveniently, the romance had a much more solid feel to it. That's all I'm gonna say there. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Let me know what your guys' thoughts on this movie are, and let me know if you think I'm wrong. If I may not agree with you if you tell me this movie's terrible, but I am willing to talk to you about it. And with that, I will leave you here. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.